tell them do not do edibles. Like I'm just not a fan of edibles because of it's very difficult to monitor your how much you're going to intake. Even though in Nevada the regulation is 10 milligrams, 10 milligrams is even too much. You should probably start at 5 and then go up. But it's concentrated. So we use oil to bake. When you use oil, it's like all gooey and it's thick. Well, it's the same idea with THC. It's gooey and it's thick, and that's what they use to make edibles. So.
Well, Aisha, thank you for all that valuable information. That was a lot of information, but it was a lot of interesting, good information that we needed to hear because, we get it from somebody that this is what they do.
Right.
We're not going online getting maybe sometimes misleading information.
Right.
So thank you, and I think that when our youth is being involved in this, they need to have good information and good knowledge so that they can arm themselves.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah. So we do have other people in the studio. We have from Teen Talk, which airs every Saturday from 12 noon to 1 o'clock, right here at KCEP in the studio. We have Cherie Perry and Sean Roberts, and we have my niece, Armani Valentine, and her mother, Lorene, who is going to join this conversation about marijuana and the youth. Welcome to Ladies First. Thank you all for being a part of this conversation because it's important to hear your views. So I would like to ask, and whomever would like to answer first, what is your opinion about marijuana?
Hi, this is Cherie from Teen Talk. My opinion on marijuana, I actually personally think it's a great thing for medical uses. I feel that it can actually help people of young ages. I know there was one girl who she had seizures multiple times a day, and the only way to stop them was to have marijuana, but she couldn't have it in her state, so she moved to Colorado. So I feel that if it's used in a medical purpose, I feel it is very useful. Instead of people using it for recreational use, then I feel if you do it at home, you do it like a recreational use, it's just fine. But out in public, I also feel like it's bad. So I feel like it has a good and bad connotation with it, just a little.
Okay, and this is Sean Roberts from Teen Talk. My opinion is, like Cherie said, I think it's good for people who need it rather than people who don't, because now that it's legalized, you have certain people who are able to obtain how much you get and then sell it to maybe their brothers or stuff like that. They don't need it. And this goes into schools as well. They sell in the schools. That's not good as well. And it also impacts people who are trying to get jobs, because you know how you want to get a job, you have to take a drug test, right? Now that it's legalized, you got all these people who fail the drug test because they can't get into a job because they're smoking weed. That's it. But for me, I think it's a good idea for people who need it versus people who don't need it.
Okay. And Armani? You have to say something. It's okay that your mother is here. Her mother
Pressure.
is a little like, well, just be honest. Like, seriously, because my sister and I, we have a very open relationship with our daughters about this, and this is something we go back and forth on all the time. And believe it or not, my sister's opinion and my opinion differs. But I still love her. So, Armani, just be honest and say whatever it is you feel, because what you feel, other teenagers are feeling the same thing.
Okay, this is Armani Valentine, and I think marijuana, like, if you don't need it, I don't think you should do it, but if you do, like, if you're prescribed it or whatever, I think it's a good idea, but if you don't need it, it's not good for you, but to just get high. And when you get high, you don't do nothing but really go to sleep. It's you wasting your money for no reason, basically, and you wasting your time of day.
Okay, and we're actually going to ask Lorene, her mother, what she thinks. And she's raising girls. She has 5 daughters. So it's a conversation, like I said, we have all the time. So what do you think about marijuana?
Again, I'm Maureen. I think it has its goods and bad to it. I
believe just going back, like as far as like the medical that everybody said, as far as the medical and health issues that you may have, yes, it's good for you. But as far as like the kids and just what is the word, recreational, I don't think that it's. I don't know how to explain. I don't think that it's it's good for. But as far as like just the health wise, as far as the people that's doing it with the issues, I promote it. I do, honestly. I promote it for that. But as far as like the kids and all that, I don't agree with that. I really don't.
And back to the youth, I want to ask, do you think that because it's legal, do you feel more teenagers are more inclined to want to experiment with it? Whomever want to answer first.
Yes, now that it's legal, like I said again, I think the ages are 21 or above to purchase.
In the
Am I correct?
dispensaries, yes.
Okay. That can be used to give to younger teens. Now, that can very affect, like I said, schools again. It's not good at all because of the mindset that you get into, and then that impacts the school. Graduation rate drops because kids are not graduating. They can't study right because, of the marijuana. I just think it's a good idea.
I mean, I partially have to disagree because marijuana is also, they say it's a stimulant for the brain, so it actually, for some people, it helps them with their like math and stuff like that, with numbers and such. I watched a show on Netflix. It was called Super High Me, kind of like Super Size Me, but with marijuana, where a guy spent 30 days without marijuana and then 30 days with marijuana to see a difference. And his math grade that he had went up by like 30%. So I kind of have to disagree with what you said. But it does actually, because teens are in school now, do want marijuana more because it's legal and it's more accessible to them. Because they could just say, hey, older brother or older sister, can you go buy this for me real quick? Yeah, sure, I got you, and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, well, at least I'm doing this with the people I know and people I care about, but it's like, it's still also affecting your head at a young age, and it can shape your mindset for when you get older.
Armand,
What was the question again?
do you think, being that marijuana is legal now, that more teens are inclined to try it, that want to try it because it's legal?
Yeah, I think so because just because it's illegal, they were doing it before it was even legal. Like they didn't care about it anyway. So with it being legal, it doesn't it seems like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter what age they are, they can do it. If you're not above that age to do it, or if you don't think it's good for you, I don't think you should do it anymore.
Okay, so you guys do agree then that because it's legal, more teens are more apt to trying it?
I disagree. I do. I disagree because to keep it so 100, teens were smoking weed before it was legal. Before now, you get so much history on what it's made of, what it can do, the side effects. They were doing it before then. I don't think that it being legal made them smoke more. I think it being legal just made it okay for them, more or less than, no, I'm not gonna do it. And all the kids are doing it. You hang with somebody, 9 times out of 10 they're smoking because that's the hype right now in 2018. That's what it is with all kids. I don't think the legalization really had anything to do with it because if you look at it, like I said before, they were smoking it before. It just made it even better for them to smoke more and use that excuse. It's legal now.
And we do have Coach Mumford in here to join the conversation. And I see you have something you wanted to say. So, because he said he really sat straight up in his seat. But I would like to bring into the conversation Coach Stephen Mumford, who is a high school football and basketball coach and has also taught in the classroom in the Las Vegas area. So, what would you like to say about all of this?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. In terms of, one of the things that, because we're talking about teens and how they feel towards the towards marijuana or towards cannabis. That I've spoken to teens, and sometimes the feeling is, since it's legal for them. And so, I've actually been into the courts, and it's definitely not legal if you're under 18. In fact, they will classify that as a felony if you are caught with that. And so those kinds of things have to, when you're talking about education, that has to be passed on to the teenagers, that it's legal for adults, but it's not legal for you. And they will come down hard on you if they catch you with that drug. And so that's something that I think a lot of teens don't understand, those consequences.
And do you think that they don't understand that there are ramifications? For example, like Sean said, you're being drug tested for jobs. And if you can't pass a drug test, you're not getting a job. Also want to say you can lose your scholarship behind marijuana. And I know of a couple high schoolers that graduated with full ride scholarships, lost their scholarships because of marijuana. So I just don't think that they understand the ramification and the consequences.
Well, I've seen that, and it's not only that. CCSD, as a football coach, the rules for an athlete under CCSD is that they can drug test you anytime.
Okay, say that again.
They can drug test you anytime as an athlete, as with CCSD. And so once that happens and you test positive, then I'm not going to say it goes on a permanent record, but if college coaches, different people are coming by asking about that athlete, that's something that has to be discussed. And just like you said, I've seen athletes lose scholarships. And it's not just about the scholarships. It's just about as you are looking to go on to college, it should be a decision that you're gonna, if that's something that you're serious in doing and accomplishing, that you have to be, if cannabis is something that you're interested in, it's something that you're going to have to put on hold until you get to where you want to be. And so, and it's, as a coach, I've coached youth athletics all the way up to high school for probably about 14 years here in Vegas. And I've noticed there's been a difference. Some of the athletes that I've coached as youngsters, now they're all getting ready to graduate. And through those years, as I've watched them, I've seen some do fine, but I've seen a lot of them, probably the ones that have challenges now, 100% of them started out with marijuana. And I saw a gradual uptick as marijuana started to become legal. I saw an uptick on its use, and it became more of an issue for us as coaches in terms of something that we had to deal with.
Would you guys agree or disagree that marijuana is a gateway drug?
I'm kind of biased on it because I feel like yes it is, because it's like, oh well, this makes me high, well then this other drug makes me high, so let's just continue. So I kind of see how it is, but then again, marijuana, from what I understand, isn't an addictive drug, and so it's like something you just want to kind of stick with. From what I'm aware of, it's not an addictive drug, so I don't know. I feel that it also isn't. I don't know. I don't really have a real answer for it.
I have an answer. This is my opinion. Yeah, I'm like old school. I feel like I'm with you as well. I don't think that it does, but I don't think that it can stem you to do other drugs unless it's in your bloodlines. When I say that is, if you come from a family to where there's no drugs, there's, just normal life pretty much, and you come across it, yes, I think that it depends on like what you're around and what you're seeing and who you're with and what you're doing. But if you come from a clean family, I don't think that it's a gateway to go to another drug. You know what am I making any sense?
Yes.
Like, but if your parents was alcoholics, drug addicts,
And you're predisposed to possibly-
you're trying to find that fix of, I don't know how to say it. You're trying, like it's something in you that's like, I need to be high, but you don't know if, hey, it could be alcohol, it could be weed, it could be cocaine, anything. So
one of the things, I was watching a documentary and they were talking about addictions, and from what the documentary was explaining, and I'm sure you have something to, but what the documentary was explaining, they were talking about pain and pleasure, and so anything can be addictive, because once you get that pleasure from it, it generates dopamine in your system. So once the dopamine, it gives you that pleasure. And so whether it's food, whether it's marijuana, whether it's anything, that's the addictive. And that dopamine is a chemical inside your body. Am I correct?
So I'm gonna go on record. I first want to say I'm a patient myself, so I consume myself, and I'm not afraid to say that openly. And number two, I want to always talk on behalf as a cannabis advocate. Cannabis itself is not what's addictive. It's personalities that are addictive. And then also, I want to put this out openly. If you are using blunt wrappers, which most of the youth are using as they are partaking, the tobacco in the blunt wrappers is what's addictive. So absolutely, I know for a fact, if these youth and anyone else is using tobacco leaves as they're rolling their cannabis, they are addicted. The problem is they're not addicted necessarily to the marijuana, because I have young people who smoke marijuana from 13 to 30, and they just quit. So that's what let me know that it's not the cannabis. And when I say just quit, like, I'm not smoking anymore, and that was it. So I know that that's not the addictive portion of it, but if we have addictive personalities, as Coach has pointed out, yes, you're going to be addicted. You might be addicted to the form of bringing it to your mouth. You could be addicted to the concept of rolling it. You know, there's addictive things that we do, but cannabis itself isn't. But if you're using blunt wrappers, I guarantee you're addicted.
and then you're gonna start smoking cigarettes.
Well, they don't often smoke cigarettes. What they believe is they can't live without the cannabis. Their mind has triggered that I can't live without the cannabis. But what it is they've gotten themselves addicted to the tobacco.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, not the cannabis. It's the cigar, the tobacco in that too. So that's another habit that other kids are picking up as well.
Yes, because
Not
they're being introduced to cannabis in the regard. So in our culture, we use blunts as a form of dosing. That's culturally done, right? So in our culture, we're passing that on to our youth. And I'd like to say get hemp wraps. So I said that. Buy hemp wraps. You can buy them in bulk. Buy them, have them at home. You see people come to the house, I got a hemp wrap for you. So I want to say that openly, switch to hemp wrap.
Okay, and Sean, before I take any calls, Sean, you've been itching to with a comment, so we're listening.
I just want to touch back on what you said. Okay, so you know how you said about the family and stuff like that, right? Okay. So what about peer pressure from friends in the outside community besides your family?
And again, that goes, and that's something that I have with my daughter. It's who you're around. So if you're around, say for example, you didn't been around it, you didn't seen it, but that's not you. As you being 18, it's up to you to make a decision if you're going to be peer pressure into, oh, hey, I want to fit in and do what they're doing, or I want to go ahead and just say no and further my education. You have that option. You know, as far as, you get peer pressure everywhere. I don't care with anything. Right now, weed is just the main thing. Like they said too, kids just smoke because it's legalized. It's the hype of it. The more everybody sit here and talk about it and go on, it's a hype. So that hype right now is marijuana, and that's what they're doing. So I don't think that it's really peer pressure, because can't nobody make nobody smoke. If you don't want to smoke, you're not gonna smoke. So it's
I
you.
believe it's peer pressure, because the first time I smoked, Absolutely, with peer pressure. You know what I'm saying? It was like, hit this, hit this, hit this.
If you
And
go-
so I hit it.
If you go-
Well, and that's understandable. I do agree with you. It is peer
If you
pressure.
go on social media, you will see kids smoking it right on social media.
Oh, and I
And
see
so
that all
and
the
that's,
time.
and that in itself is a peer pressure. They wanna get some type of exception, some type of likes, all
Yeah.
that stuff because
Exactly.
of what's
Part of
going on.
something.
Exactly. That's the conversation too that I had with my daughter because I asked her, not trying to put her on blast, but I asked her like, honestly, like, what is it? Like, why do you want to smoke? And her response was, I'm gonna let her answer that.
Wait, you can't say you not trying to put me on blast and then you just
And then pass the mic.
Right.
Pass the mic.
you can't just do that. But she was like, okay, me, I'm not.
You can. No,
You was
I'm
low-key trying to
100.
put it, okay. But my response to it was, I'm not ready for it because I'm young, but like, when I get older, I might want to do it a little bit, but it's not going to get me anywhere. It's not going to do anything for me. So, I don't find the need of me to do it as often as other teens do it every day, like it's a need for them to do it. Or like them posting videos like what you guys said, I find like it's just clout. Like they want to be part of something also. They also want to be part of something. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Trying to fit in.
Exactly.
Right. And how old are your sisters?
The second oldest is 12. The third oldest is 7. The other one is a lot. The other one is 5, and then we have a 10-month-old.
Oh, so you're the oldest.
Yeah, she's the oldest. Okay. If you want to call in and join this conversation, please do. The telephone number is 702-647-3688. 647-3688 if you would like to join in this conversation. So let me ask you, is there a method that any of you feel that would work in preventing our youth from using marijuana, or are you just kind of?
Well, most definitely. We spoke about the marijuana industry and the monies that the marijuana, the cannabis industry is bringing in to the Las Vegas area, and I've coached. I was a coach and I taught at Mojave High School, and I remember at one point in time, we only had one counselor staffed for about 3,000 kids, and so besides cannabis and there's other issues that the youth have in these schools, and so I think it's very important that people in our state legislature, our elected officials, really push on getting more money funded, into our schools, because I think we need more counselors. We think we need more education. I think we also need more treatment options for parents. I've known parents that have approached me as a coach and asked me, where can I get my child help? And to be honest with you, there's not much here in Las Vegas for that. Not at the schools, not through your insurance. It's very hard. I remember I was speaking with former city councilman Steve Ross, and he had challenges with his oldest son. And that's something that he mentioned, and one of the things that when he was running in his campaign that he mentioned to me is that he wanted to establish on-campus living facilities for teenagers who have challenges with not just cannabis but all types of drugs, so that they could stay on a campus, still go to school, and be treated at the same time. The only facilities that I know of that's like that is up in Utah, and it costs something like $75,000 a year to send your kid to a facility like that. So those are things that I hope the that our elected official, our state legislature looks at in terms of being responsible for our youth and putting some programs together that really goes directly at helping our youth, in this environment that now we've created in terms of the legalization of cannabis.
Why didn't they think about this when they were going to legalize it? I mean, even if so I meet a lot of people, with the work that I do. I meet a lot of people from all over the world. And, conversations that I've had with people in Colorado with marijuana being legalized. Yes, it brings a lot of money to that state, but their emergency rooms are bombarded with people literally, and this is what I was told, literally ODing on marijuana. Literally. So this is, I've been told this.
That word is used loosely, but.
Right, I guess because of the different strands or whatever. Also, they're saying that the crime rate has risen.
The studies just showed that that's not true.
And, well, I'm just,
I
don't know.
I know
I'm just
you're saying facts,
where,
but I'm saying facts back.
Right.
So the studies, they just dropped a story where that's not true.
and that's for Colorado?
Yes.
Okay.
But I just seen the story here in Vegas that our crime rate has been rising.
I don't think that it's.
And I'm not against marijuana, cannabis, but, I think my whole point of what I just said is that the state has to put things in place so people can get help, so people can get, educated, so people can understand, so, Canada, we mentioned with the opioid problems, Canada has opened up places where you can go and use
There's
under
a part,
a controlled environment,
Right.
and also they offer, when they come in and use, they offer services so that they can get off. We don't have anything like that, not just in Nevada, but the whole United States.
and the thing that I foresee is it's really going to affect our community more so than any other community, because the youth aren't going to get jobs.
Yeah.
Not just the youth, but whoever is doing it. Because, even though they say, oh, it's legal, but Steve Wynn is still going to drug test you. Other places
I
are
don't
still
wanna,
going to drug test you.
so I don't wanna interject again, but Caesars has just taken away their drug testing for cannabis. So I can foresee that as we move, and I know that there are a couple of fire departments that have also removed cannabis as one of their drug testing. So, and again, I'm not in here, I'm an advocate, so I keep track of what the real statistics are because I'm in these dialogues all the time. But I do want to go back to your original question was, what are they going to do with the money? Because I do believe that is a legitimate question and it should be answered. Now, I know they haven't dispatched any of the cannabis money, so I want to say that openly. They haven't figured out how to put any of the money anywhere. So it's not just schools. They haven't put any of the money anywhere. I like to point that out because I know we have a school district problem, but I want to be clear. But I do believe that is, as we're moving into, because bills have dropped, so as we're moving into legislature, we need to get on our elected officials and with this money, because the money just keeps tallying up, because I believe we're at 33 million. So as it keeps tallying up, we need to be clear and mindful when we're talking about our public officials, where they want this money to go. And it's not just schools, because $33 million is a lot of money. And we're just in our first year. And they had an idea of how much it should be. We exceeded that. So that's a lot of funds that are going to be flowing in. We want to make sure that money that we're saying where we want the money to go, and that we're electing officials that will also have that in mind.
And I have two boys, and I remember when they were in grade school, and when 2008 hit and there was a collapse in the economy, the Clark County School District took out the MAD program in the elementary schools, and that was all geared towards educating kids about alcohol and drug use, and they took that program out. I don't know if they brought that program back. What I'm seeing too is that it's not just high school. I'm seeing that it starts in middle school. That's when it happens. the using of cannabis and any drugs starts in middle school. So I believe that if money is going to be directed, it has to be directed in the elementary schools. Bring back programs like MAD or those programs so that these young kids going into middle school have a mindset and are prepared to deal with this.
I'd also like to see more cannabis education. So I do understand that we're coming from a mind frame of cannabis being a drug and the use of it being thereof. But I would like to move on the mindset of there being more education. I consider myself a cannabis educator. I advertise myself as that, and I think it's important that the more information that our youth has about the wholeness and the wellness of it, the more unlikely they are to abuse it. So, for example, when you tell kids that they should eat greens, right? You tell them all the time, you should eat your greens, eat your greens, eat your greens, and they don't want to eat the greens. It's mostly because you told them not to eat the greens, not because they haven't tasted it. They don't want to eat it because you told them not to. I believe over-educating is the answer to cannabis, what we would say introduction into our youth. If we over-educate them and give them more information, then what they'll do is dial back from it and say, I know about that and this is what it's used for and I'm not interested. So I think instead of moving towards what we would call drug education, I think moving towards education as a whole it would be the answer versus the opposite.
So you think that in schools they should have a class that teaches about the pros and cons of cannabis?
I think they should have a holistic class. Let me be clear. I think they should offer a holistic class that teaches holistic living, period. I think they should be talking about agriculture. They should be talking about our eating habits. They should be talking about sugar addiction. I think they should be introducing that in elementary school so that as they mature, we're introducing new new eating habits, holistic lifestyle, holistic mindsets, and then overall, we're saying growing your own food, learn how to dig wells. I think we're missing that portion of education.
Did you guys, in high school, did you take health class?
Yes.
Did we go over those subjects? Some
Like
of those?
cannabis?
Yeah,
No.
drug use? It wasn't discussed. Because I taught health class and I thought we had a section in there.
At
Well,
my school, they did actually.
Yeah, we have.
What
You
school do
would-
you attend?
Well, right now I go to Legacy,
Okay.
and so they kind of just went over a little bit. They always said, oh, cannabis is a gateway drug, and just don't do drugs, and keep your body in shape, and exercise, and this, that, and the other thing, and live life to the fullest. But I know back in middle school, I actually had a really good teacher who actually would come to me, and I would ask her questions about it, because I came from a family where marijuana wasn't seen as a real negative thing. But then all those people around me say, oh, it's such a bad thing, this, that, and the other. And my teacher's like, well, at your age, yeah, it's a bad thing, and it can be used in positive ways, but now, it's seen as a negative connotation.
So do we even still have the DARE program?
No,
we don't
that's
have
what I
it.
was talking about. They
Mhm.
took that out in 2008 when there was the collapse and, the funding was hard. They took DARE out, and DARE used to be in the elementary schools. So that's been defunded.
Well, we're making enough money off of marijuana, so I'm hoping that they will institute those programs back. But, Sean, let me put you on hold for one moment. Let me take this call. Caller, welcome to Ladies First. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, I couldn't hear. Okay, so I came in on the middle part of the conversation. I can hear you. I'm in my car, so can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Okay, all right. So I came in on the middle of the conversation, and I guess I have some concern about, there was a question that was posed, and it was whether or not cannabis, marijuana, chronic, whatever you want to call it, is addictive. And I think the young lady said no. And I think we need to look at what the definition of an addiction is. An addiction could be if you're continuing to do an activity over and over, it's an addiction. So if you're smoking marijuana or whatever you want to call it, it's an addiction. We need to also focus on what it does to the chemistry within the brain. I'm appalled in the sense that we're having this conversation and we don't have experts on the panel to talk about this, when you're having people of all ages listening to this radio station, and we know that our kids are influenced by whatever. And this being the big thing of today, not only for our kids, but for adults. But we're having this conversation, and we do not have expert panelists including this conversation. So I'm really appalled by KCEP not having someone there to speak as an expert on addiction, whether it's marijuana, cocaine, crack, alcohol.
Okay, yes, you know what, we do have an expert. Aisha Goins is an expert. This is what, not on addiction, but this is what she does. And this conversation is about the youth. We need to know how the youth is feeling about this so that we know how to try and combat this. So, for you to say that you're disappointed with KCEP, I'm disappointed with you for not even taking the youth, how they feel, in consideration. And I'm disappointed in you for not even being thankful that we're even having this conversation. I'm sorry for having a Franklin moment. Excuse me.
But I think she
To
was.
agree. But again, when I started out, I said I came in on the middle of the conversation. But I'm saying to you, as a listener, and you need not take this personal, we all have our opinions. The conversation, the direction of that conversation does not, in my opinion, does not come across as positive. We're looking to help our youth. We need to look at how this conversation is coming across. And I'm just saying that. So don't take it personal. We can disagree to agree. But I'm saying that as KCEP, as the panelist representing KCEP, and I'm entitled to my opinion, just like everyone else, and I'm not disrespecting you, so you don't have to come off with that tone.
Yeah, but
It's just, you want callers to call in. We don't have to agree with everything that KCEP or anyone else puts out. But I think you should at least acknowledge my opinion about the matter.
And you know what? I appreciate your opinion. I really do. But don't say that we don't have experts. The youth are experts because they're talking about it. Their opinions are experts because they're talking about it. We're not talking about addiction. I don't have a drug counselor on the panel to tell you about the addiction. What we're trying to do is talk to the youth and see, their feelings about it and what their understandings are and their perspective. That's what this conversation is about. This conversation is about us as adults stepping back with our old school mentality about marijuana and listening to what the youth have to say. And yes, we do have Aisha Goins on here who is an expert in what she does. And we will be doing another show because I do think that it's important to have a drug counselor in here to talk about this. So yes, thank you. Do I have time to take another call? Okay, caller please. Thank you for tuning into Ladies First.
I appreciate it. I know that was some exchange there. But my concern has always been that parenting has to be enforced here. And I know that sounds like that's not going to happen. But my problem is with poverty. My problem is not with marijuana because the adults and those who are able to vote cast their votes. That's what they want, marijuana.
Yes.
The youths don't have the ability to go into dispensaries and purchase marijuana, do they?
Yes. Well, thank you for your comment.
They're not
We
available.
have to.
Hello?
Thank you for your comment. We have to kind of wrap the show up now. Thank you for calling. Last word, well, not last word, but you have something you want to say quickly.
I just want to say that it's not real. Like, I do agree with the last caller. It's not about the marijuana. It has to do, and that's another topic too, but it also has to do with the parentings as well. And you educating your kids and letting your kids know what it is, what they're taking, what they're getting into. Just like we sit here and we say, well, where everybody is saying that's against the marijuana, where is the money going? It should go here, it should go there. But then again, what about the people that's in the military that's coming back all discombobulated and really need it, and the kids that's in the house with them people that's seeing that? So it has it goods and it has it bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think that parents this day and age need to have a very, very open and honest relationship including this marijuana. I hope that each one of you got enough valuable information and knowledge about marijuana, cannabis. I'm correcting myself. Thank you, Aisha. And will arm yourself with this information and decide if it's something that is or isn't for you without any outside influences encouraging you to do what everybody is doing. I just say be your own individual thinker because it's your life and your future at stake. Thank you, Mr. Ramon Savoy, for your assistance. Thank you, Crazy D. Thank you, Tim's. Thank my panel, Aisha, Stephen Mumford, Cherie, Sean, my sister Lorene, my niece, Armani. Thank you, Franklin. I'm Cheryl Lightford. Thank you, family, for tuning into Ladies First. Have a wonderful weekend.
Just mention it again, because we don't have to hit the subject again.
Such a turn. We gotta hit this subject again.
You want me to ask, can you go over because you're getting a bunch of phone calls?
Yes.
Yeah, go over. Yes. Come back and let her come back in. Play that piece again.
Real quickly, no, because honestly, I really feel that marijuana doesn't have its ups and downs. But if parents, I feel like it's what is the word I'm looking for?
Broadcasting in HD1.
Okay, so we're seeing if we're gonna go over people because this conversation's got robust. So keep the telephones ringing 702-647-3688. And pass this along because this is very important. Of course, we had a hot show today. And there was no.
To exert extent, some of them really do need it. You know, honestly, like.
I agree, but my whole.
Armani, grab mine.
I agree. My whole thing is that, like she was saying, we have to have education. We have to have programs.
It's not even the program, it's the parents, though.
Well, see, I coach football, and sometimes we don't even have kids. The parents show up.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why a lot of the kids are doing it because their parents either sold out for one something, so they don't have time. Me, I smoke. I have 5 jobs. I'm smoking around my kids, but I educate my kids.
Okay, so that's really good.
We're good. So you can just close out.
You guys, we got just one.
Come in, close it.
Tupac is my favorite. I absolutely love Tupac. I was going to be the future Tupac, but it didn't happen. Sorry, but I got it.
Okay, go on.
Move over so they can see you. See the writing? There we go.
You can see me now. Hello,
yeah.
I'm Cheryl Lightford. I just hosted Ladies First. Thank you, Franklin, a spinoff show from Like It Is Radio. Like I said, the dialogue is a little different. The topics are a little different. We had a pretty heated, we had a good discussion in here today about marijuana. I got a lot of information that I didn't have.
It's not marijuana.
About cannabis. Thank you, Aisha. About cannabis. Thank you guys for tuning in on Facebook. I appreciate your comments and everything. I do think that this is a show that we're going to have to do part 2 and have a drug counselor on and have, some other people on to kind of keep this conversation going, because with it being legalized, we are going to have programs for our youth to help them to combat this and be able to live their lives to the full.
I don't even think that we really need programs like for that. I think that don't get me wrong. I do. I think that if the parents educate their kids and they let them know,
are different.
if your parents educate your kids and let them know, yes, it will also stop them from going to other drugs if they don't have that in their bloodlines. Along with that, I do feel that sometimes kids just need that understanding, and it's that's a.
But what about those parents that? What about those parents that don't have this valuable information that we got, that are drug addicts or alcoholics themselves? How can that child go to that parent and have this discussion when mom and dad strung out? So not everybody has that component in their home. So you hope that you have So you hope that you have aunts and brothers and sisters and uncles and nephews. But yes, I guarantee you we're going to need programs for the youth.
Yeah, I mean, we need them. We don't get me wrong. We need them for the ones that are going and need somebody to vent to and talk and to understand to why they went there and what's going on with them in their lives.
Yeah, I can help you facilitate.
How y'all doing, man? Sean Roberts from Teen Talk. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow from 12 to 1 for our show on KCEP at 8.1. Thank you.
No, that was good. You just turned. You didn't say thank you. You said thank you and turned. That was good.
Thank you.
Say something?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Go.
You sure?
Yeah.
Tell me about the school, coaching, all that.
You're
Or you just close out. You on here. Come on now.
Thank you for having me on, and I do believe we need the money that is out there that the marijuana or cannabis industry is generating. We have to direct that to the kids, and we have, especially at a young age. Because a lot of times the parents aren't there, the parents aren't engaged, and so for those kids that don't have that parenting, we really have to put those programs in place. Also, too, I've seen it at both levels, at Mojave High School, and I've been at private schools. And the drug problem, the issues that we're talking about, is at both levels. And it's not just low income; it's also, it's across the board.
Hey, Cheryl, you want to say something real quick? Because I have a question to ask the expert on film before we close out.
You was probably a freshman.
I
remember that.
Let her through. I played football there.
Yeah, I remember that.
Nice to meet you in person, Mr. Mumford.
Oh,
Let her through. She's going to speak on the camera.
Oh, you're making me speak on the camera now.
Yeah, just say something. Close out.
I'm
All right.
glad
Hi,
to see
my
you
name
doing
is
good.
Shuri. I'm a part of Teen Talk. I think the show that we had was actually phenomenal, and the fact that they asked us, the teens, to talk about it, because they don't actually, older people don't actually see what we have to deal with when we go to school, because we typically have to get our bags checked and this, that, and the other thing. So with this being brought like some light shed on it, hopefully we have a part 2 where we can continue this conversation, because it was honestly a great show to be on. So, see ya.
All right. You want to say something? Slide right here. I'm tall, so they can see me over the words. Okay, I have a question.
What up, Doc?
They have been. That sounds like that's some weed talking right there. All right, no.
Can they see us live?
Yeah, they see. This
Y'all
is
see
happening
me
live right now.
Oh, it says I'm watching. Look,
Yeah,
it says Aisha Goins is watching.
Okay.
Look.
Okay. This is my question. We had Snoop Dogg. We had no. That's not my question.
They really be working over here, huh?
Did they really? You didn't know that?
No.
To keep this churning, it is
Y'all
skilled
should
workers
see this.
doing
They
this
working
thing.
over here.
They working to put these shows together to make it happen.
They
That's
really
right.
over here working.
KCEP is a professional operation here.
Absolutely.
88.1. Okay, so my question is.
Thank you for
Right.
having me.
Look, man. Here's a question. Is cannabis a drug?
Yes, cannabis is a drug.
Okay, because sometimes people say, well, weed is different than crack and all that. It's not a drug, and that was the argument in the rap records in the 90s.
Cannabis
So
is
is
a
it
drug.
a drug like drugs? So it's classified as a drug. Should it have its classification if the federal government has it under it?
It should
Just
be
like cocaine.
It should be reclassified.
Okay.
I agree with that, and the reason it should be reclassified isn't because it's not a drug, but because of the therapeutic use. So according to the Substance Act, the way it's classified as it has no therapeutic use. So that's how come crack and all of those are classified as that. So according to the Substance Act and what it was put in position for, yes, it needs to be reclassified.
Mm-hmm. But it is a drug.
It is a drug. So is aspirin.
And it can be harmful.
No, aspirin is a drug too.
I know, and aspirin can be harmful too.
And
it can eat the lining of your stomach out if you take too much.
So you know what? So I'll say cannabis can put you to sleep for a really long time, and some people shouldn't sleep like that. You can't control, sometimes when you smoke cannabis, you're not in control of all of the things that you normally would be in control of. So yes, that's harmful. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be operating heavy equipment when you're smoking cannabis, so it's harmful. So yeah, I agree.
We did a live stream, Nothing But the Facts podcast, did a live stream in Hardin dispensary, and the dispensary guy took us around. He broke down the two parts of cannabis, but he also said that there's a part of the not the addictive side, but the mind altering side that can bring you up.
Yes.
If you want to be put down to relax, or if you want to bring yourself up to like study, like what the kids were talking about. So tell them a little bit about that. How there's different forms of that where
so I don't really want to
okay.
have this conversation. But I do an education class. You can follow me, Aisha Goins. You can go to my website, it's Black Abyss, and I have a class coming up on the 21st. You can absolutely come to my class, and I'll teach you all of that. But just in generalization, that breaks down to terpenes and cannabinoids, and all of that is the reason why everything changes. But I don't like to have that dialogue, because then I'll be here for a long time, and I get annoyed.
Is there an age requirement for your class?
No, there's no age, because it's just education.
Okay. And will what you cover be some of the stuff that what you covered, will that be some of this? Oh my God.
Same stuff.
So what we talked about today, will you be covering some of that stuff about how it does alter?
Yes. So in my class, it's a 2-hour class. It's a very in-depth class. It comes with the book, the workbook, and there is no because there's no usage going on in the class. That's why anybody can come to the class. I try to say 18 and above at least, right? Mm-hmm. But because we're not showing products or anything like that, anyone could come to the class. However, yes, I do go into great detail about the cannabis plant, how it helps in bodies. So it's really more of a coaching dialogue than it is a teaching. And basically, I talk about how it helps you in your life and the people that you know.
Okay. And then I have a question for you outside.
Are we
Okay.
done?
We're gonna finish up. Okay, so that's it for now. Another excellent. This was a great show. We may see this show on another platform.
Yeah, it's
with a 4K camera.
Actually, we have people that are still calling in wanting to do a continuation of this show. So if you really enjoyed the topic and you would like to have a part 2 of this conversation, please go to Like It Is Radio on Facebook and say, you know what, I like the conversation, would love to have a part 2. I'm Cheryl Langford, the host of Ladies First. You'll hear more of my shows in the future. So thank you.
Everybody's kind of protecting you.
We're going to have to have that again, because
I don't know. I
touch
think
that
they
issue.
think that.
Yeah, you can talk.
I don't know.
We're talking about something.
Yes, and something
Okay, well, I'm gonna make this quick. I just need all the young people to be educated and know what it is, what's going on, what is the effects of it, and where you want to go. If you plan on doing something in your life, if you plan on being somebody, I don't think that you should smoke. I don't think that it's okay, even though, that's the in crowd. But like I tell my daughter, you make your own way. You be who you want to be. Now, when you get older and you feel like that's what you want to do, fine, no worries. But you guys need to educate yourself and stop trying to fit in, because it's not that serious. We need more African American young people going to college and fathering themselves and knowing more than just the basics. Okay, thank you. See you next time.
All right, so that's it. It's Crazy D. As usual, always produced by LordlandFilms.com. That's LordlandFilms.com. We're innovating. Come here, Ramon. No, you got to come on. Savoy, come here, Savoy. You were taking you're the producer. You were taking pictures. They need to know. Come on in, Savoy. Come on.
Okay.
All right, here we are. This is Savoy. He not only took photos for the show, took the pictures to capture the moment, but he also produced the show, keeping everything on time. So tell them about yourself real quick. They know who you are, but tell them about something. Say hello.
My name's Savoy, and I guess I'm an alumni here of 88.1 KCEP Radio. I had a prior show here on Fridays, which was Black Power Talk Action Radio, which Student Verley was on the show as a co-host for that particular, and inspired him to branch out and to make Like It Is Radio what it is. And it's just important that we continue to support media and look at it as a cornerstone for information that we need to get out and distribute to the general public. So that's all, pretty much. Keep it tuned in to the filmmaker here, Lordland Films, and you on Cox Cable.
Yeah, Cox Cable.
Cox Cable. And what's the
Lord.
Email, what do they do to get on to see?
You go to Cox Cable. You click you get the remote. Click Contour. Go to apps. Go to YouTube app. Search Lordland Films influencing the next generations, and then there it is. You can watch everything, including this. This will be up soon, and also Crazon Dion page on YouTube. Also on the new TCL Roku TVs. When you get your Roku TV and it's all set up digitally, you can cut the coaxial cable, and then you just type in YouTube, and then you type in the same thing that I just said, and you can see us on your 55-inch TV. And also a lot of different things. Black Book TV is coming. Also Bop TV from out of Atlanta. All that is happening, and we're here to make sure. LordlandFilms.com is here to make sure that people are seen, heard, recognized, and appreciated. Especially my people are seen, heard, recognized, and appreciated. So get down with it, and you're going to see more of this. And, Savoy does the same thing with his photographs and with the newspaper that he formerly had. That we're trying to get him to pull it back and resurrect it like the phoenix bird. It rises again. So this is where we're going to close off for now. We'll see you again. Check out all the live streaming that's happening on Crazon Dion on Facebook and all the different pages to share it. Make sure that you follow and like them. And
one other thing. So what are you going to be? Where are you going to be this weekend so they can continue to know that you're bringing history?
I never let out where I'm going.
Okay.
We move in silence. And that's what we will end that right now. All right.